Okay, yeah, so it's recording now. So I want to welcome all of you guys to my webinar. I'm so glad you could be here, and I'm really excited to share my journey and my story. And everyone's been sharing where they're from and some of the pain points that they've had in the chat. And then someone, uh, who was it? Where did it go? Oh yeah, Peyton is an anthropology major and was asking, I'm the most nervous about having a non-hard science major, but anthropology is a difficult major, I think. I took it pass fail, but as long as you get your science classes done, so you'll be all good. Greeting Meg says greetings from Ohio. Yeah, Peyton meant, yeah, like biology or chemistry, I know, but I mean, whatever is most interesting for you to be able to get a good GPA. How long is the webinar? It's my birthday today. I need to come. Okay. Hopefully it'll just be an hour, and there will be a replay. So I'm recording this if you guys want to rewatch it again. But I've got some really, it's best to do it live because I can answer all of your questions on here, and we'll go through that. Ariana, your Instagram posts are so inspirational. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so I've given the obligatory 5-minute buffer. And so I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. And then also, if you guys didn't get the bonus, I'm not on here, was so gracious to, here, I'm gonna paste it in here again. I'm gonna paste the link to the bonus, and this gives you, I just put it in the chat. This gives you the grid that shows your chances of getting into med school and then works you through some questions. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is share my screen here. And we're going to get started. Okay. You guys, we're going to get, so can you guys see all this? Let me, hold on, let me make sure. Okay. Can you guys let me know in the chat box? Oh, you're lagging in slow-mo. Can you, okay. All right. Is the audio lag, is it still bad? Very slow. Okay, now. It's better now. Okay, good. Yeah, I think my internet, it's not the best. All right, better. Great. Okay, so you guys can see the PowerPoint. That's awesome. So I'm just gonna put a little chat to the side, little chat box there. Okay. So we are going to go through the 5 core hacks to getting into medical school, even if you have low scores. So you're in the right place if you're applying this cycle. You've procrastinated your personal statement, and trust me, I totally get it. We're basically science nerds. We're not writers. Writing is hard. Writing was very hard for me in college. So if you're feeling really uninspired and overwhelmed, and I'm really speaking to you guys, your MCAT and your GPA scores don't reflect the true passion you have for medicine. Because trust me, that was me. And I want to make sure that you guys stay tuned till the end, because I'm going to be answering all your questions, but also I have a really special bonus and gift just for people who stick all the way till the end. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Khan, and really it wasn't too long ago that I was in your shoes. I had been dreaming about being a doctor my whole life since I was a little girl, and I just wanted to help people and really make an impact in their health. And I wanted to walk into a hospital and be able to talk to people. And what I mean by that is like really talk to people, not just like, oh, what's wrong with you? You know, I wanted to really get to know people and see what was bothering them and figure out what their illness was, figuring out their treatment, make sure they got better. And so I knew early on that being a doctor was going to allow me to do that. And I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same. And I was on my way. I had just graduated high school in 2000 with a 4.2 GPA. I killed it. and I got into my dream university, USC. And if you guys are from Pakistani or Indian or like immigrant family, you guys know you have to convince your parents to move out. And if you guys had to convince your parents to move out, like put it in the chat, because that is, it was like I had to move away. My parents wanted me to commute, but the college, it was just too much. So yeah, a lot of you guys, oh my God, there's so many. Tara, Shirley, yeah, Fatima, you guys are so funny. Like this is the story of our life, right? So I finally convinced my parents, and they trusted that I was going to get all my schoolwork done. And in my biology class, my professor basically said, you know, look to your right and look to your left. And he didn't just stop there. He was like, look at the 3 people in front of you and look at the 3 people behind you. And only one of you guys is going to make it and be a doctor. And like my biology class was 500 people. I came in as a biology major. And of course I'm like, yeah, that's going to be me. That's totally going to be me. And Donna and Tanya, you guys are all saying the same thing. Like your professor did that too. Yes, I think that's the thing. I think they all get together at their biology professor conference and just decide they're going to do that. But my first semester didn't go as planned, and I did terribly. I posted about this on my Instagram, and I got C's in my writing, and I don't even remember this class, environmental issues in society. I just don't even, I mean, obviously I don't remember it. I didn't do well in it. But general chemistry, I got a B. I barely got a B in intro to bio, and my term GPA was a 2.5, and I was like, holy crap, what the hell just happened? And the next semester, honestly, was not better. I did not do well. And again, it was like, what the hell just happened? I was a straight A student in high school, and I'm not learning anything from these professors. They just deliver everything in a really dry way. They don't even care. They're just trying to weed out everyone. And I ended up, I mean, I got B's in my other classes, but I got a C this time in chemistry and a C in biology. And my term GPA was 2.65, and it was terrible. Like at the end of freshman year, this is when all of everything, and even now for most of you guys, you're just like, I don't know, can I make it? Can I be a doctor? Is this still the right path for me? Like, should I switch to something else? So all of these things were going through my head. But so what I decided to do was like, I hate this dry biology, boring bullshit. And so I switched majors. I switched to a psychology major because I really liked my AP psychology course in high school. And so I thought this would be a really great way for me to be happy again and maybe learn something interesting instead of biology and chemistry. That stuff is so boring to me. And so unfortunately, though, for me, it didn't really just end there. So I got B's my first semester and then C's. And sophomore year, I had to withdraw from organic chemistry because I was failing it. And I ended up taking it at a junior college nearby. And I got an A the first semester, but the second semester I got a B. I still got a B at a junior college. Like, you know, those are supposed to be considered the easier classes, but I didn't do well. And I had this giant fat W on my transcript. And then I got a B in molecular biology. And then, of course, after that, I took physics. It just got worse for me. Like, physics also wasn't my thing. Again, I was very right because I was doing well in my psychology classes. I was getting A's and B's, but so at this point, you can see my science grades are looking like crap. And I'm going into the next semester and I'm like, okay, I really got to show an improvement in some of my science classes so that's like an upward trend or like this big turnaround. And so I really tried hard for my physics. And I ended up with a C plus, a C freaking plus. I went from a C to a C plus. So it was an improvement. I mean, but I can't, you guys are probably like freaking out. Like, this is the worst transcript. But I wonder if some of you guys have the same grades that I did. I would love it if you guys don't mind sharing. I know this stuff is really personal, and I didn't even want to share it, and I'm a double board certified doctor now. So, oh my gosh, a lot of you guys do. Wow. The chat room is like flying right now. This is so comforting, not just for me, but because, okay, yeah, and like everyone's raising their hands and you guys are going crazy in the chat room. Oh my God, there's so many of you. Yeah, you guys are all like, this is, wow, everyone's raising their hands. Daisy, Adriana, oh my God, Tanya, Sarah, Alina, Shirley, Mackenzie. It's just so comforting to know, and this is why I'm putting this together, is for you guys, because I obviously made it through and I'm not done with my story yet, but I was in your shoes too. And so my saving grace, luckily, was math. Like, I loved math. I don't know, I'm just this big math nerd. I probably couldn't do any calculus problems anymore. But I could mix a TPN bag and calculate pharmacy stuff. But my saving grace was math. So I finally got some A's. I got an A minus in calculus and an A in statistics. So this helped pull up my science GPA, but my science GPA was still a 2.9. Okay, this is nothing to get excited about. All right. So now the pressure was really on for the MCATs, and I was so stressed out. I signed up for like a Kaplan or Princeton review course. I don't remember which one. They're all the same, I think. And so sorry, Maria, honestly, here, looks like a juicy comment. Honestly, through the higher ed and research, all of these comes out to the fact that we face many difficulties because of our lack of resources, lack of good and effective study habits, and I can go on and on about the inequalities and challenges that we face as minority students. Amen, sister. I mean, yes, that is where it's at, Maria. If you relate to that, drop it in the chat, because this is all of us. Yes, you guys are raising your hands. So the pressure was on for the MCATs. And okay, when you guys raise your hands, does it show up on my screen? Can you guys see that? Or are you guys, okay, no. All right, good. Because it's like, it covers my screen when you guys raise your hands, but it's like so awesome to see. All right, so the pressure was on. I was taking my review course, and I had planned to take my MCATs in April. I like killed my spring break, of course, studying for this shit. And I was not prepared in April, so I delayed it. And then I wasn't prepared again. And so I kept delaying and delaying and delaying. And so finally, I just had to take it in August, which it was like late in the process, but I was just like, okay, I gotta take the MCATs in August. And how do you guys think I did on the MCATs? I'm laughing because oh my God, you guys are so sweet. Really well. 508, good. 510, 30. Awesome, good. You guys are the best. I love you. But I'm actually just like you. I'm not some undergrad superstar. And I completely tanked. I got a 22, and that's the old MCAT score. And so now, can you guys hear me? The internet, I don't know if it's connecting. Drop me a line if you can still hear me. Okay, cool. So I got a 22, which you guys can see here is a 32nd percentile. And the physical sciences, I mean, I was about average. My verbal reasoning was there, like 37%. And then if you guys can see this, oh, this is depressing to kind of look at. My biosciences, I mean, that's 25th percentile. My writing sample, I killed it on that. I got 86% on that one. Okay, so what that basically averages out to with the 32nd percentile, like it ranges with the new MCAT score, but that's about like a 495 to 500. And I think 500 is being generous. I honestly think the last, most of the places that I looked at, like the data, the 22 really correlates with a 495. So at this point, it's like, what do you do? I felt like a total failure. I was really scared. I was depressed. I was lost. I was numb. I was in pain. I was just basically a complete mess. I had a 2.9 science GPA, a 22 MCAT score, and my overall GPA was a 3.2 because my psychology classes that I got A's in helped pull up that average. So my overall GPA was a 3.2. But I found a way to push through it all. And I decided that, you know, at this point, how will I know who I can become if I don't even try? Like, I just had to try. And so what I did was I bought books. I learned everything I could about personal statements and interviews and average MCAT scores and GPAs of all the different schools. And so I went into the process really, really prepared. And now I want to share all of that with you guys, how I did it, my 5 core hacks to getting in. So what you guys are going to be learning are which schools to apply to, all about DO schools, how to write an amazing personal statement, how to interview like a boss, and the importance of application timing, because that's really important. You guys don't even know how important that is. That's the one thing I wish I knew. I applied way too late. And what I did was I applied to 10 MD schools and 4 DO schools. And I basically researched which ones to apply to. And so this is kind of what I went through. You know, at first you might think like, oh, to maximize my chances, I'm just going to be applying to all, but you're going to go super broke. And that's a terrible way to do it. It's really expensive. And so what you want to do is you want to apply smartly. And this is where you can save time and money and a big headache. And so the things that you want to consider, well, one, are you ready? You know, you really have to be ready. You really have to want it. And I definitely wanted it, even though my GPA was low and my MCAT scores were low, but I really wanted it. And I just knew I had to try. And so you want to apply to around 15 to 25 schools. The actual average is about 16. So I applied to 10 MD schools and 4 DO schools. And what I did was I applied to the schools with the lowest average MCAT scores and GPA scores. And I looked at the in-state and out-of-state percentages and how large the class is. This is all like part of a game that you basically have to play. You're playing the statistics game. So to maximize your best chances, I found the schools with the lowest averages, and I figured out my chances of getting in with that. And then what's really interesting, and this is one thing that a lot of people don't do, is you look at your in-state and out-of-state acceptance percentages. So if you're in-state, does that particular school favor their in-state students? And if it does, you should apply to that anyways, even if their averages are higher, because you have 1 point going towards that, is that you are part of that state. So they may favor you even though you have a lower GPA and MCAT score. But you also don't want to waste your money. So let's say you're an out-of-stater and you look at a school that favors a lot of their in-state students and takes those in a higher acceptance percentage, you don't want to waste your money if you're not even close to their averages, right? So that's a good way to decide, like, okay, I can use those resources and that money for something else. Does that make sense? And then you also want to check out the class sizes. So some of the newer med school class sizes might be really smaller. There's some that are just in rural areas or whatever, and class sizes can be like 50. So my class size was 135, which is around what most medical schools are. Some medical schools are larger, like even up to 200. So if it's a bigger class size, you're probably going to you have more chances, obviously, to get into those slots, right? So that is another consideration where even if the numbers aren't right, just because they have more spots, you might want to slip your application in there. But if the class size is really small, then that might not be the best fit for you. And so with DO schools, I really think that DO schools are kind of your saving grace if you're in this not perfect student picture, right? So that's obviously the route that I went to. So out of the 10 MD schools, I got a few secondary acceptances, and I decided not to turn in any of them. And I just decided to focus on being an osteopathic physician, because after all of my research and discovery, I thought that I would be a much better fit this way. And so I only filled out the secondaries for the 4 DO schools. And I actually, looking back, I probably should have applied to more, but I was just so nervous about leaving home. My parents didn't want me to leave home. So I applied to 4. I got 2 interviews, and I got waitlisted at Western University, and then I got into Touro University in California. So osteopathic medical schools are basically the hidden gem for students with low scores, because traditionally many are newer. There's a lot more new osteopathic schools, and they can be less competitive. And I think I know it's become much more competitive than it was back then, but what's nice is that I feel like osteopathic medical schools really love the non-traditional students. The oldest student in my class was 52 years old. And then there were a bunch of students in their 40s. One was a single mom, and she had, 1 kid in high school, 1 kid in middle school, and she was going through it. And we were all going through it, and they graduated on time. They're both family practice doctors now. It's such a wonderful variety of students and people at these DO schools. And DO does not mean that it's easier or it produces less successful doctors or anything like that. I mean, Dr. Mike is probably one of the most popular and well-known osteopathic physicians. He's got like millions of subscribers on Instagram and all that stuff. And then you can see there's obviously me, but like I was saying, one of the things is that in the osteopathic physician world, the journey is really intimate, and it's like a family. So there's 179 medical schools, 143 are MD schools, and there's 36 DO schools, and that's increasing. Currently in practice, there are 1.1 million MDs and only 137,000 DOs. But what that means is that we get to do cool stuff like DO Day on the Hill. And I got to hang out with a bunch of students. And that's something that's really special. And it's just really cool. You just have this different sense of community and family. And your peers are really just wonderful. Yeah, Alyssa is saying I work alongside a DO in my urgent care office and love her. She does not use OMIM in her practice. Yeah, neither do I. I'm too busy in the critical care unit, so I have not been practicing that, but I practice on all my friends. And I definitely believe in that. What if you haven't shadowed a DO, Erica asks. That's okay. It's if you can, try to get that done, but if you haven't, it's, you know, they still take letters of recommendations from MDs because they understand that sometimes the access to DOs is limited. One thing you definitely have to know, though, is who is A.T. Still? He is the founding father of osteopathic medicine. So if you're applying to DO schools, you've got to know about the profession. You have to know who A.T. Still is. The very first osteopathic medical school in Kirksville is named after him. It's A.T. Still. So know him, understand him, be able to describe osteopathic manipulative medicine and why you're choosing to apply to DO schools. This is really, really important. And just to kind of give you guys a little taste, like osteopathy, has Greek origins for the two parts of the word. There's osteon meaning bone and pathos meaning suffering. So make sure you just look up things like this, just in case you get asked about it, but also because I did so much research on the osteopathic physician field, I went into my interviews and wrote about it in my personal statements with such an authentic enthusiasm that the interview committees could really tell. Like, why else would they invite a kid with a 2.9 and a 22 for an interview? It's because I was able to convey this all on paper. And so the way you want to structure your application process is there's this rule, the 25-50-25 rule. So 25% are the much easier schools, the more chill schools, your whatever schools. Like this is your safety net. And then 25% are your, you know, it's like reaching for the sun and the stars. These are just your high hopes, high dreams. I don't know if I'm going to make it. And then 50% are going to be your like really good fit, your good matches. What I see a lot of people do is chase after brand names. And that's unfortunate. They chase after these brand names and these really good schools. And so they're putting all of their eggs in that top tier 25%. And maybe they have like a couple of good fits, like 1 to 2 good fits in the 50%. And then they don't do any of the easier, more chill schools or even try to apply to osteopathic medical schools. And that is a huge disadvantage because what's going to end up happening is you're going to apply again the next cycle and then decide like, okay, I want to apply to osteopathic medical schools. If you just do it up front, then you at least have the option. If you get into an osteopathic school, it doesn't mean you have to go. You at least now have the option. But I really, really recommend it because that was my journey and that's how I got my foot in the door. And now I'm practicing as a critical care physician. And, you know, that's kind of been my journey. Erica, I love it. Yes. Okay, so like I was saying, your personal statement, this is your time to shine. It's time to tell your story. Who are you? What makes you special? Why would you be a good doctor? You want to find a common theme that suits your authentic self. So in that bonus that I gave you guys, and maybe let me see if I still have the link. Okay, yeah. So I just threw it in the chat box again. So I just sent that link to the bonus if you guys didn't get the PDF yet. But I go through 5 questions and I kind of have you answer questions about some of your extracurriculars and hobbies and things like that. So go through that and find a common theme. Like, do you have overlapping qualities when you say, okay, I want to be a doctor, and you like, what makes a good doctor? And then all of a sudden you see that in some of your other answers when you're answering about how you play soccer and what makes you a good team player. Use that to tell a story and weave it through. And that's how you get your story across. The interview is another really good way to impress the committee. And there's a lot of statistics I don't think you guys know yet. So usually the interviews are kind of an afterthought, but getting prepared for the interviews now actually will also help you with your personal statement, because what you're basically doing in your interviews is trying to convince the committee of why you're going to be a great fit. And you have to understand that the mindset of an interviewer is one where they're very, very bored. Okay, they're freaking bored. They've heard it all. They hear all the stories, the sob stories. Oh, my grandma died during my MCATs and stuff. And it's not that that's not a tragedy. It is, but you would be surprised at how many people use that same story. And so the interview is really to solidify if you say who you are, and will you actually really be a good doctor? Will you really have the passion to do this? And are you going to fit in with the school the way that you said you are? And so that's why starting to think about interview questions and weaving your story and getting your story started with your personal statement is so important. And this is what's really crazy. So around 15% of applicants to a particular school, and the stats vary between the schools, are given an invitation for an interview. Now, what you guys probably don't know is once you get an interview, your chances of getting into medical school dramatically go up. It like goes up to like 40%. And obviously it depends on different schools, but it's around there. So can you imagine you basically go from this teeny tiny pool all the way up to 40%. And the success rate is really, it's crazy. It's like, this is just the hidden jewel of it all. So this is not the place to get relaxed and like, hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, I'm totally, I'm it, because you still have that 60% chance where they're going to boot you out. But what they're really trying to see is, are you an authentic person? Are you going to be a good doctor? And are you the same person that's on this piece of paper? Oh, here's a good question from Bridget. Did you address your grades and MCAT in your personal statement? I did not specifically. I kind of danced around it. I mostly told the story of my research because that was one of the things I was most proud of, and a lot of my shadowing work. And there's different ways to address it, and that's like a whole that's a whole other thing. Oh, and Daisy asked, my grandpa actually raised me, died a week before my MCAT. Oh my God, that's terrible. He was placed in comfort care and passed. Oh my gosh, should I omit this information? It really depends. So let me just, here, I'll keep talking. So what you want to do for the interviews is you want to research, rehearse, record, and basically, presentations are a communication tool. And, it's used for lectures and speeches and more, but your interview really is like how you're going to communicate. So what you want to do is you want to research common questions, and you want to rehearse, like grab a buddy, grab a friend. And then you also want to record yourself. It's going to be, I know a lot of you guys don't like hearing yourself, but you want to really, figure out if you're saying or like I kind of am. I'm getting tired. Sorry, it's the end of the day for me. But you want to know what you sound like out loud. And you would be so surprised that you have these little nervous tics and things that you do, or you always start a particular sentence with actually or so, something like that. So record yourself. And it doesn't have to be on Instagram Live or Snapchat or anything like that. Just do it in your own phone and listen to yourself. And so timing is everything. And actually, I thought there was a slide here where I talked about, you don't want to give a whole sob story, but you want to talk about the more positive aspects of perhaps like your grandpa dying. You want to talk about how you grew from that, what you learned. What you don't want to do is use it as an excuse to why your MCATs were so low, because everyone is going to have an excuse. What you want to do is own it and say, I wasn't prepared for that. And, I learned a lot from that, and this is how I plan on growing, and this is how I'm growing. Does that make sense? So I hope that helps. Let me see, where is this? I wanted to, oh, here we go. There's some Q&As here. I have like straight C's in general chem and bio. Should I retake those courses? It depends on your GPA, because it might help if you get a master's degree or post-bac to help boost that GPA up. But you can use the grid to see what your chances are right now and answer the 5 questions that I had in that bonus, and then kind of make a decision on if you think you're ready to apply this cycle. When is the best time to take my MCAT junior year? Yes, junior year. Go hard. Did you apply with those scores or did you retake the MCAT? I applied with those scores. I refused to retake the MCAT. You guys, it was not on computer. It was paper and pencil, okay? And I had to sit there in a classroom with like flipping through this stupid book, and they had to sit every other seat with the, I wasn't gonna go through it again. And I was like, whatever. Tanya, could you explain what is included in science and non-science GPA? As a Canadian student, it really confuses me. It doesn't really matter because MCAS makes their own science GPA. So whatever your college says is your science GPA may not be what MCAS says it is. And they do science and math. You can find all that information on the website. Are we going to get this PowerPoint? You'll get a replay of the live webinar. What do you think about applying early decision? That is scary. That is scary. If you have a low MCAT and GPA, I don't know, because then you're stuck. Is that DO degree valid in Canada? I would actually have to do a little bit more research on that, because there are osteopathic schools in Canada, but they are not medical schools. So the osteopathic profession is structured very differently in Canada. If you want to practice in Canada, I'm not sure that's the best route for you to go. You'd have to do a lot more research. Okay. What does one do if they have a low GPA but a higher MCAT? How does the 25, 50, 25 work with the low high thing? So Tanya, there's actually a formula where you can get like your aggregate score. It's kind of complicated. I'm not going to be able to share that with you guys today. But okay, so I will get back to, I'm going to get back to going through the timing. So timing really is everything. So there's so many areas of potential delay that you can go through in your application. So you basically enter in all your information, and you can have errors in that. Writing your personal statement takes a long time. You might be perfecting it. Getting in your letters of recommendation. If you haven't asked for those yet, you need to ask, because you need to give professors plenty of time to write your letter of recommendation. And remember, letters of recommendation aren't just like, oh yeah, you know, this person's cool. What you really want to do is get someone on your side, someone who's your advocate. And then of course there's MCATs. Not all of you have completed and taken your MCATs. Some of you guys are still taking it like even in August. And that's what I did, and that's okay. But again, these are all different things that add up. And the worst part about it is, and I'm not sure you guys know about this, is MCAS will verify all of your transcripts by hand. And this is the biggest time suck of your life when applying to medical school. So what you want to do, and this is my biggest tip, is that when you go to request your official transcripts, request a copy for yourself. And then when you're entering in all your information, just enter it in from the official transcript, because that's what they're going to be looking at. And so you might as well have the exact copy. Even if you can get your stuff online, just get it. It's like an extra 20 bucks or whatever. And enter in your information exactly how it is on your official transcript. So you have a copy, they have a copy, and it's going to be the exact same copy. That is a huge tip. And then also you guys need to remember that if your school has a forgiveness plan, like let's say you got an F in a particular let's say organic chemistry, because that's what I was getting an F in. So you get an F in organic chemistry. And then let's say you retake organic chemistry at that same school, and then they have this forgiveness thing. So the F no longer shows up on your transcript, and your new grade of, let's say, an A is on there, but it has like a little star next to it, an asterisk. And so you know that it's a forgiven grade. You guys need to know that MCATs don't even care about that. You have to actually list out your first grade that you got an F, and then list it out again as an A. You can't like that forgiveness thing doesn't work with MCAS. They're not messing around. So that's another thing for potential delay. You really have to get that right. And so the MCAS verification will cause significant delay. So this is the latest data that I could dig up. So if you guys don't know, this is crazy. So take a look at this. So prior to 2015, the process could take up to 3 weeks. But look at this chart here. If you get in your application early, so usually it's June 1st, this year it's May 30th. But look at that, your turnaround time is maybe 3 to 7 days in those first 2 weeks of June. And then as you get to July 1st, all of a sudden you're pushed out to 2 weeks, 15 days if you apply. So really when you think you're applying, oh, I'm applying early, I'm applying July 1st, actually you're basically applying to the medical schools mid-July, like the 3rd week of July. And then it gets really bad August 1st, because I think I'm assuming this is when people are starting to retake their MCATs or get their MCAT scores in. And it peaks at almost 20 freaking days. So you can submit your application on August 1st, but it's not going to get verified until almost end of August, September. Like that is a huge disadvantage. Huge disadvantage. And you guys, this is like, that's why getting it in early is so, so important. Another pain point, deadlines are in Eastern time. If you guys are scrambling and like running into this late, a lot of I think only one of the schools that I saw, the deadline is August 1st. Most of them are September, October. So you guys should be okay. You shouldn't be applying that late anyways. But just so you guys know, deadlines are in Eastern time. So if you're living in California, it's not midnight, it's 9 o'clock. If you're in Hawaii, it's 7 o'clock. This is the rolling admission process is really, when I applied, it was rolling admissions, but I didn't really stop to think about what that really meant. And the spots start to get filled early on. Like spots are filled by the time I was applying. And I really think that if I had applied in a timely manner, I probably wouldn't have been waitlisted at Western. I probably would have gotten into Western, which is like down the street from me. And I probably wouldn't have had to make cereal for dinner every night because my parents would have been close by. So I definitely missed out on that. And I don't want you guys to do the same mistake. You guys really need to get this done because your chances will go down. It's not like the admission committee is sitting around, like having FOMO about some of the students that are applying in September. You know what I mean? They're not, if there's all these organized and stellar students coming in, like right when the gates open, those are going to be your jewels that they're going to want to take. So I want you guys to keep in mind that you guys get everything done. And so what happened? So was medical school hard? How did I survive? How did I become a successful critical care doctor at the end of all of this? Like with my crappy ass grades. And I'm here to relieve you guys because this is my transcript for my first semester in medical school. And I got straight A's except for 1 B. And it didn't stop there. My second semester in medical school, I killed it again. I got almost straight A's. I got 1 B. And my GPA was a 3.88, which is insane. That's like I went from a 2.9 to a 3.88. And it's not like, you know, magically I learned. I mean, I learned how to really study, and I finally did a lot and learned a lot. But I want you guys to know that this is totally, totally possible. Like, you don't have to love those dry science classes. And I want to remind you guys that this is why you showed up. You're applying the cycle. You've procrastinated your personal statement. You're feeling uninspired and overwhelmed. And again, I'm talking to you guys that your MCAT and your GPA scores don't reflect the true passion you have for medicine. And that was my story. Look at how passionate I was about medicine. It was so interesting to learn that A's were easy for me. Like, I was just completely killing it and destroying it in medical school. And I finished medical school with a 3.8. I continued like that my second semester, pharmacy, everything that got more and more complicated, I continued to excel. And you guys might be asking, like, well, what other strategies do I need to know to get in? I know you guys have been posting questions. There's just so many questions to this whole entire process. Like, how do I actually find all the schools that are the right fit for me? Where do I find other like-minded pre-meds with positive vibes? Like, you guys are already bonding on the chats, which I love. Like, you guys are so, so incredible and so cool. Like, just to be supporting each other and going through this process, because normally at schools it's just like, oh, you didn't, you know, I got an A on the test and it was easy. I just studied the night before. And in your head, you're just like, no, you didn't. You know, I saw you at the library. You've been studying for a month, like, shut up. And people just don't help each other. And so, you know, how do I do it all? And I want you guys to remember that I felt like a failure. Like, I was in your shoes. I was scared. I was depressed. I was lost. All of this with my crappy ass scores. And what I want to do is I want to share all of this with you guys, because it's so detailed. This whole process is crazy. You know, what I want to do is I want to go in for a very deep dive, interactive training where I can actually coach you guys through the process. And so we're going to go through 5 weeks. There are going to be 5 live webinars. Okay, and in this 5-week program, it's going to be structured so that May 30th is not scary anymore and that you can get everything done. And so you're going to go through this 5-week program and get everything done. And this is how I've structured it. So the first one, I'm going to teach you all about your letters of recommendation. If you haven't gotten that done yet, if you already got it done, perfect. But I want to make sure that you guys get this done. So I'll give you exact scripts to ease your nerves so you can specifically spell out how you want your recommender to basically advocate you so that to impress the admission committee members. Resume editing and personal statement outline. I will help you craft an impressive medical journey story to leave really like a lasting impression. And your time management and your skills will grow from there, and you'll no longer feel stressed. The second week is all about applying to the right schools for you, all while saving money and being smart about where you spend it. Because like I mentioned, you don't want to be, you know, applying to all of these state schools when they're just going to take their in-state people. And that's just not smart. And this is getting this right is critically important. And as a medical student, as a pre-med student, I want to ensure that you're surrounded by supportive professors and peers. You don't want to end up at a school with more cutthroat students that just don't fit, you know, your personality and your lifestyle. Like, when you're in medical school, it's a family. You really want to be with your family. And that's your time to have fun and enjoy the process of learning. I had so much fun learning medicine, and I was with such a great group of humble and down-to-earth kids. Like, we just had a blast. Of course, there's like gunners and stuff, but you find your tribe, you find your crew. You know, imagine finding that school with a perfect fit, and imagine actually going through the list and finding all 15 of them. And And then your personal statement. So if you don't have the right story that the committee members want to hear, then it doesn't matter how long you spend writing your personal statement. And the personal statement can be a big turning point in your journey to basically get the committee members to forget about your GPA and the MCAT score and give them what they're really looking for, which is a great future doctor. So I'll really be able to help you sell your story in a really compelling way. And your interviewers should remember you by this and say like, oh yeah, you know, she's the soccer gal who volunteers with youth groups in the community. And oh yeah, I really liked her. Because like I mentioned before, if you can get your foot in the door with that interview, your chances of getting in go up to 40%. So the third week is going to be all about the interview. It's about, you know, taking your interviewers on a journey into your life. So you really want to increase your visibility and increase your amazing first impressions. Like, how would it feel to finally really be understood and, you know, not being looked at as like, oh, you're not good enough, or maybe you should pick a different career, like all that crap that we've been told. It's important to, you know, put some practice into this, and that's what we're going to go through. And we'll go through the dreaded MMI and Casper scenarios, and these can be really intimidating. And honestly, like I actually find some of it to be really hard. You'll become, I'm going to make you like a mini ethicist master, because these are a lot of the concepts and ethical dilemmas that I practice regularly as a critical care doctor. The fourth week, it's finally, we're going to finalize your personal journey statement. We're no longer going to call them personal statements. This is your personal journey statement, because that's really what you're trying to convey. And we're going to put in that application on May 30th. And we'll do this in a really interactive manner. It'll be the best paper you've ever written. It'll feel so good to share, like why you'll be the best doctor. No more agonizing over your GPA, your MCAT score. You can totally do this, and boom, you're ready to submit your application on May 30th. And if you get in right at the door, you'll have the best chances to get those interviews, and it'll feel so good to be first in line, something you probably didn't think was going to happen because of your crazy busy life. And then the fifth week, we're going to finalize your interviewing skills and get a head start on your secondary essays. The secondary essays are important, and a lot of people forget about those because you only have a 2-week turnaround time. If you delay it longer than that, then it doesn't look good. And schools really do take notice of that. And what you want to do is leave the school with an impression that you're organized, you're thoughtful with your replies, and that they'll have like no choice but to extend an interview to get to know you better. Like, who's this talented girl with an amazing story? You know, that's what you really want to leave them with. And the really cool thing is that it'll be completely interactive, and you'll be able to learn from other students, and you can watch exactly how I'm helping with edits and feedback and interview answer delivery. I'm going to deliver it the same way that you're going to be interacting with the committee members. So it's going to be super informative, and like it's just never going to feel this happy about the application process. Everyone else is going to be super stressed out, but you're going to have a peace of mind knowing that it's going to be all good because we're going to go through all of it. You're going to be confident and well rehearsed. Again, it's a really interactive process, and I'm going to be delivering the live webinars for 5 weeks, and I'll be taking all of your questions live. And my physician practice has grown so much, and I rarely have time, but you're going to be able to get direct access to me. It's just going to be you and just a really small group of students. And a lot of people might ask like, oh, well, you know, I'm not applying until later when my MCATs are done. But like I told you earlier, you can complete the application process so that the last piece of information is your MCAT score that's going to be sent. And we can submit all of that by May 30th. So if you're still studying for the MCATs, it's just 1 hour per week for 5 weeks, and I'm going to handhold you every step of the way. The 5 weeks are going to be super informative and packed with information. The design is so that you can get started right away because this process is really overwhelming, and we're going to be doing everything in little bite-sized chunks so that you can still study for finals and the MCATs or like whatever else is going on in your busy life. And like I've already read all the books and manuals, and I've processed medical school applications, residency applications, fellowship applications. So I really know what these committee members are looking for. And I mean, just reading, like, have you guys seen the MCAS application guidebook? It's like 85 freaking pages. And that's going to take you over 2 hours at least to even read through that. Like, who even has freaking time for that? Like, you're doing finals and MCATs and all of that stuff. So, and normally when you're in this type of like a coaching program, it gets really crazy. It's like really, really expensive. I mean, personal, and on top of that, you go to some company and you work with someone you've never met. Like, are they even going to be able to understand you? Are they going to dismiss your hardships? Are they going to be able to, you know, play up your gender and your racial challenges and as like an actual strength? Because that really is a strength. And that's what I was able to do. So you basically, you have to pay for like all these different pieces. Like the personal statement starter is $500. Personal statement and resume editing is $700 to $1,000. The mock interview process, I saw prices up to $3,000. I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? The MMI practice would be separate than the mock interview. Casper practice, secondary essay editing, like all of this stuff is so crazy expensive. Like $3,700 to $7,500 total for all of this stuff. And then if you add one-on-one coaching to that, it's like $500 an hour. Like now you're just in a crazy price range where it's like $10,000. So for my program, it's not going to be at that price. And you can pick from 2 different packages. I'm offering one-on-one coaching for $5,000. Or you can do and you're going to get double the hours in the one-on-one coaching, and it'll be just you and me. Or the 5-week coaching program that I just described will go through everything, your entire application process, get it done by May 30th. And you'll be with like a tribe of the coolest students. And that will be at $997. But I'm also offering some bonuses, and you're also going to get personal statement essay prompts, and this worksheet and guide will go through the entire outline of everything. You'll get a live mock interview recording going through like common questions, student answers, and my feedback, just to get you a head start and have recordings available. A complete guide to all of the DO schools with all of the data that matters to you, the averages, gender, racial data, because ACOM doesn't present the data the way that MCAS does. And so I wasn't able to make that data grid for the DO data because it's a lot more complicated. And there's also going to be a closed Facebook group of like-minded peers, and you're going to be able to share this journey with just positive-minded people and people that are going to be able to cheer you on. And this is the craziest bonus. So there's limited early bird bonus, and it's one-on-one access to me with Voxer. And so if you guys aren't familiar with Voxer, it's a walkie-talkie app. And actually, I can just do it right now. I'm just going to Voxer my friend. And hey girl, I just wanted to ask you a question about my personal statement. I wanted to know if I should talk about my volunteer hours or if I should talk about my mission trip to Africa. Let me know. And that's how easy that was. And you just send a message and I'll be able to listen to the recording whenever. And that early bird bonus.
Hey girl, got your message. Let's talk a little bit later about it.
That's awesome. My friend replied. So this early bird bonus is going to end on tomorrow at midnight. And the value of that is crazy because it's just direct one-on-one access. And these are some of the amazing messages that I get on Instagram all the time. And my time is just so limited that I can't work with all of you guys one-on-one. But, you know, like people will send me messages like that I'm in the position you were as a pre-med student, in all honesty, struggling, but I won't give up until I achieve the dream. And, you know, People say, well, I don't know if your application is good enough or your scores are good enough. And this made me realize that I can do it. And I've been so nervous, but everything is possible. And of course, I want to guarantee, I can't guarantee that you're going to get into medical school. Okay. Like no one can, only God can guarantee that, but I can guarantee that you will be happy. So if you're not happy for whatever reason, just hit me up for the first 2 weeks and just send me an email and I'll take care of you. It's not a big deal. And so just to kind of go through everything again, the total value, like we're literally going through everything listed here. And that's what you're going to get. And if you guys want to know more, I'll send you guys the link and I'm going to be putting it in the chat. Again, it's very limited. I'm not going to be sending out a lot of emails about this. There's only a few spots. After the webinar, you'll see a registration page and I'll also put the link here. And I would just click the button to join and I'll see you guys in the live training. And this is what it looks like. So I'll just put that in there. I hope you guys really enjoyed the webinar, and even if you can't join me, that's totally cool. I would love to help. I can only help a limited number of students, but I hope you guys got some really good value in this webinar with some of my advice. And I'll go through some more Q&As. Here we go. What does one do? What do you think about, where did it go? What do you think about medical scribes as experience for medical school? I think it's great. I think you guys get a lot of medical experience, and this is also a really good way to get to know physicians. And you can also develop a relationship with them, get them to write you a letter of recommendation, shadow them. So it's a really great way to get your foot in the door. And for medical experience, I think it's good because you get a firsthand look. And oh my gosh, the screen keeps jumping. I'm a Canadian student. Are there specific schools I can apply to in the States? Yes, there's, like, you'll have to go through the whole MCAT list, but there definitely are. Is it frowned upon to apply to DO schools as reapplication who did not apply to DO schools originally? No. Because, well, I guess, so Claudia asked this question, I guess why did you not apply to them the first year? Maybe you just didn't know enough about them. And that's a common answer to that question. So you can say like, oh, I just didn't know. And then apply. I don't think they'll hold it against you. And honestly, most DO schools, they know that you're also going to be applying to MD schools, but you can craft your answer in a particular way. And I can help you with that too. So let's see, Melissa, I had an average GPA in undergrad, and then I directly went into a master's program, and I'm finishing up. My GPA has become strong, but my MCAT is still low. I'm so lost with MCAT. The MCATs are really challenging. I would recommend that you use that grid to see what your percent chances are. Remember, my chances were 8 to 15%, and I applied anyways. So looking for schools that might be a good fit, you can look and see which ones have the lower MCAT scores, and go from there. I hope that helps. Ariana, what if you took your prereqs a while ago? How does it look? Well, I believe all the medical schools have a 5-year class time. So if you took the class 5 years ago, then it's probably expired. Anonymous, how do I get research experience out of undergrad? Is research experience necessary? Would it be bad if I didn't have any applying? It's not bad per se, but it makes you more competitive, and it's more likely to combat a low MCAT score or GPA. Okay. I have a 502 MCAT with low CARs, but decent sciences and a 3.8 GPA upward trend, and only have a 50% chance still. 50% chance is really, really good. If on my bonus, if you guys didn't see, if you guys don't know, LeBron James is like one of the best basketball players, very well known. Whatever your feelings about him, who cares? But his 3-point field goal percentage is 33%. And what that means is he only makes the shot that he attempts when he attempts a 3-point shot 33% of the time, and he is the best in the league. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't take another shot. A 50% chance of getting into medical school is huge. If your chances of getting into medical school are 1 in 3, I would say run with that. That is killing it. A 50% chance is not low. I applied with an 8 to 15% chance and still got in. So that is just a little piece of the puzzle. What are competitive MCAT scores for DO schools? It depends. All of this, like some of the more well-established schools, even schools like Michigan State, have higher ones than other places. Ooh, I've been talking too long. Okay. Oh, you guys are answering each other's questions in here. How does it appear if this is the third attempt at MCAT? Well, it depends on your results. Are you getting better or are you not getting better? And if you're not getting better, you might as well just apply with the score you have. And because I knew that I wasn't going to get better applying my MCAT score or like of taking it again. I just wasn't going to get better. I didn't even know how to study for the stupid thing anyways. What do you think about applying to new schools? I say go for it. They're like little hidden gems. Actually, when I was applying to Touro University, the Nevada campus was just opening. But unfortunately, I could not. They had this weird rule where you could only apply to one of the Touro schools. So it was either Nevada or California. And because I lived in California, I really wanted to stay in California. I applied to the California school. But new schools are really, because people are scared. They don't want to go in. But if that's your only choice, like, why not? Just apply. Well, any medical school except AC minus. Yeah, I mean, you saw my transcripts earlier. It was terrible. How can you go into internal med after going through DO school? I don't understand. What's the difference? In America, there really is no difference in the way that MDs and DOs practice. So DOs can go in anything they want. You can be a neurosurgeon. You can be a sports medicine doctor. You can be a spinal surgeon, you can be a pain doctor, internal medicine, critical care, neurocritical care. All of these things are all options. So if we have low stats and we'll take MCATs June 29, should I apply early for DO schools? Yeah, I think earlier the better, because as soon as your MCAT score, like what you have to do in the application is enter in your MCAT exam date, and then it'll automatically shoot your score in as soon as it gets in, and then your application will be complete with that medical school. So you don't want to wait till you get your score and then submit your application, because like I said, the verification process is going to take a lot of time. So that'll add another 3-week delay. You don't want to do that. And you saw July 1st and August 1st, like things just start to peak. Alyssa, I have not taken the MCAT yet, so I feel I'm behind. I'm 2 classes away from master's in science. Congratulations, help. I was planning on taking it in August. Can I still apply this round? Yes. Yeah, like I said, just apply and your MCAT score will automatically get submitted in August. All right, you guys, there are so many questions here. I don't think I'm going to get to all of them. I'm going to come over to the chat box here. So, Erica, for your GPA sheet, is it my overall GPA or science GPA? Oh, it's your overall GPA. It's not science GPA. That MCAS data, they only publish the overall GPA. I wish they would have divided it out by science GPA. Do you recommend taking an MCAT course or not? I do, mostly because I did so poorly in my science classes. I needed that structure. Sarah, what changed in your study habits? Nothing really changed. I think it was my passion. I always knew how to study. I mean, I did well in high school. It was my passion for the material. And I learned a lot of memorization techniques through the years. All right, I think my voice is going to fall apart. So I'm so glad I got to spend some time with you guys, and I'm gonna share the recording in an email with the replay. So I hope to see you guys soon and see you guys in the live training. Again, it's very limited. I'm not gonna be, bombarding you guys with emails or anything because it's just for a limited number of spots. And as soon as I end this, again, the registration page will pop up, and I will put the page in there again for you guys. And good luck to everyone. I'm so glad that we got to spend this time together, and I wish you guys the best of luck. I know I was in your shoes and I got through it, and I know you guys can do it too. So happy studying. Good luck on your MCATs. Good luck on getting your application together, personal statements, everything. You guys are going to kill it. I know it. I can see the passion in the chat room. And I hope to see you guys in live training. So take care.